everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm doing today's live stream in Fragile World by Kerby Rosanes with Prismacolor pencils, and I've been asked to please do a color along for this page here, which is the New Zealand lesser bat. So I've got a few ideas, nothing too fancy or too complicated, but hopefully we'll get going and it will work out really well. What I'm going to do is try and create a night sort of scene here with pops of color. So I'm going to try and have it that the branches and the leaves, even the berries, are a slightly muted tone and not a very bright and vibrant. So we'll see how successful that will be. I'm thinking along the lines of blues, dark greens, almost like grayish undertones, blacks and browns, and then possibly some reds. So probably more like your muted reds. So we'll see how that looks and how that goes, and we will get started. I'm just quickly finishing setting up here. Hi Noelle, how are you? Okay, so I'm going to use Prismacolors because the person who asked me to color this page seems to use pencils, and Prismas are quite popular with her. So we're just going to do that, and we'll see how it goes. Fortunately, this paper works really well with Prismas, so I have hope. Okay, for the background, I'm actually going to do probably a indigo blue with a black, and weave into that probably some ultramarine, and I want kind of cloud blue. So what I want to create here is almost like a white section sort of around here, and hopefully it will contrast the rest of the page. And then I might actually put some dots in the sky at the end. Okay, so what I'm thinking, so we're going to have light. So I'm just using a powder blue, and I'll probably use a white pencil to help me with this. Hi Amy, welcome, it's great to have you join. Thanks for the recommendation. I'm very excited to get to this page. So still talking out loud. Okay, so I want this sort of center here, so let's bring it in here a little bit. I can always erase this out if I need to. And I'll make sure I color the entire page on camera. It may take a couple of live streams because I'm not the quickest. So kind of light, so I'm going to come here. And these smaller bats, they'll be quite quick because what we'll do is we will use a black pencil like this one here. We can just color these straight black, and then these bigger ones we can do a smaller amount of color. The further away something is, the less details you need to do, and it will work really well. So this is really just my first layer. I'm just placing my colors so I kind of get an idea of what I want. Go to this. Okay, and then I'm going to use my ultramarine. Hi Carly, how are you? Hope you've had a good week. Hope you all have had a good weekend, good start to the week. You can do this entire page with watercolor or Inktense pencils if you like. I think it would work really well. Our weekend was pretty good. It was busy, but we are coming to the end of rugby season. So I think things are gonna settle down soon, which will be really, really great. I'm always happy to start rugby season and always relieved when it ends. It just gets a bit much after a while. Hi Brittany, how are you? No worries, enjoy the kitchen. I have my guinea pigs out, so if you hear any background noises, it's probably them. We forgot to take them out their cage this morning, so I'm just giving them some exercise quickly. I am using Prismacolor pencils. You can see I'm not always a neat colorist. I go in all sorts of directions. But hi-ho. All right. Right now I'm just laying everything down to get an idea of where I want everything. And I will deepen this all up and blend it out in just a sec. And as soon as I've done the background, I will zoom you in and you can get a better look at each element. You could even do a galaxy background here if you wanted to. I haven't done a complete pencil Kerby page in a while, so this is going to take some time. Pencil backgrounds are always a lot slower than if you use watercolors or Inktense or even your Neo 2s. My youngest son has decided that he likes my watercolor paints, so I have no idea where they are because I had thought of using watercolor paints for the background. I'm also not worried if I get blue on my leaves, because if I take a darker green over my blue, I'm just going to deepen that green, so it's really, it doesn't bother me. Okay, so we're gonna come here. All right, so now that I've placed my colors, I'm going to start working on my pressure, and I'm going to start alternating between my colors. So I'm alternating between ultramarine, indigo blue, and I've got black, and I'm going to do a black over my ultramarine, and that's going to help me kind of create a shade like a night sky. I don't want to just use black because black's going to make this too flat. But if I use an indigo or an ultramarine over that, I'm going to actually get more of the color I want. No, I haven't got Dark Fairy Tales yet. I think I'll only get it closer to the weekend. I'm desperately waiting for it. Have you had your copy yet? And if you have got it, what do you think of the paper? What pencils or mixed media have you found to work really well? Ah, fabulous! You're swatching pencils to see what works. Love, love, love. Hang on, I'll send you hearts now. 100%, there you go, sending you hearts. I'm so glad you guys have started getting your copies of Dark Fairy Tales. Now, are there any pages that you really are prioritizing over others? Like, what have been some of your favorite pages in the book so far? Oh no, it doesn't do water at all. Oh no. So it's going to be a pencil book then. I better get used to coloring with my pencils a lot smoother. Oh, fabulous! Snow White and Red Rose. Oh, it's such a beautiful fairy tale. I love that fairy tale. And then you can use a lighter blue to help you blend. This is not working out for me very well. I don't know if I like this indigo blue, so I'm going to swap it out and try go for an Indanthrone Blue. And that might actually work a bit better. Wrong one. So you can decide if you like black and indigo blue or black and Indanthrone blue. You could probably even do a violet blue if you wanted to. You pick the color for your page. Yes, I will let you know my thoughts on the paper. I will definitely be testing everything I can test on it. Okay, I definitely prefer this Indanthrone Blue to the Indigo Blue. The Indigo Blue was not feeling right on the paper. I'm like, this is just not right. There was a time where Indigo Blue was my favorite, and I think it's been dethroned. Hi Connie, how are you? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like the blue. I'm actually fighting with this today. It's not flowing very well. I'm like, ah. As always, I will put all the pencils I use in the description below after the video. And that way you can see what I used in the color combos if you want to follow along. No pressure. My white pencil is hiding on my desk in a different room because I was coloring a portrait. Okay, so come back. I'm trying to tell myself to just come back to the top here and get this done. And I'm kind of going to try and work my way down. Spatchcock chicken, roast chicken, chicken stew sounds really, really yum. Chicken is yummy, yes. Yeah, chicken is a staple in our house. I love doing a green Thai chicken curry. That's one of our regulars, or a chicken a la king. Almost done with this. Getting there. You need enough pigment on the paper to get it to smear and blend. But I think what I might do is actually take a blending pencil, a colorless blender, and just see what I can do with that. I don't like the tooth of the paper showing. Oh, your kitty. How old is your cat? Okay, so then for this guy here, can use a Posca pen, or you can this is dark umber on top of the bat wing here. I'm going to zoom you in a sec. Okay, bear with me. All right, there you go. Okay, so down here, these ones here, you can use a Posca pen, you can use a regular black pen. You just want to black them out. They're quite far away, so you don't need to really worry too much about them. And here you can do like a black wing there. And then here I would probably bring a dark umber. You could probably even use a light color. So then here, this is the dark umber. Trying not to go out the lines. Oh my goodness. Then a black. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to take 70% French grey, and I'm going to go where all the shadow, like the line art is, the heavy line art. And my 70% grey, French grey, is my shadow color. Now, because it is dark, I am going to try and make sure that my foliage is a lot darker than I normally would. Alright, then marine green, and then I use marine green on top of that. And I'm gonna try a Kelly green. Okay, I don't want the Kelly green. Bear with me. I will figure this out. Let's try a sap green. No, yeah, pale sage, sorry. All right, yeah, pale sage is a little bit better. All right, gray green, not gray green. I'm going to be muddled today. My 70% French gray, and then go over that with my marine green. And then pale sage. Okay, then for my tree, I want to do again like your grayish browns. So let's try a 90% warm gray and maybe a putty beige and a sandbar brown. So I'm just going to play around here. So the putty beige will help me with the highlight. And then the sandbar brown will soften the grey and act as a bit of a mid-tone. Okay, so where it's very darkly shaded, I'm going to use my black pencil and then bring it out a bit. Because with it being nighttime, it's going to have a lot more shadow. So I really need to make sure my shadows are very rich. Hi Kenny, how are you? Oh no, our time change hasn't kicked in yet, so our daylight savings will kick in at the end of the month on the 30th of March, if I'm not mistaken. So we haven't had daylight savings. I'm actually looking forward to it in a way because the whole family's getting up at really bizarre hours, and I think it's just because everything's getting lighter. I need the daylight saving reset. I think the States has daylight savings at a much earlier time in the month than the UK. I think the UK is a bit later. Although I have heard the annual talks of, well, it seems to be annual talks of whether or not daylight saving should stick around, or you know, real time versus daylight savings and all of that. All right, so this is the 90% grain. I'm just going over my black. Is there still a notification bell with YouTube? Because, I mean, maybe if you turn the notification on, it will let you know when I go live, and I don't know, just a thought. Oh, okay, so it notifies you late. Fair enough. Okay, so let's bring in some Sandbar brown along in here now. Oh dear, it's a pity it doesn't even notify you at all. I thought that was the whole point behind the notifications, was to let people know the activity on the channels they were following. Okay, and then I'm going to use my Putty Beige. Oh wow, that's a pretty good price for Amazon. A full set of Prismas, $412. Surely that's a good price. No, that didn't work. It sounds like you need those Prismas. Hi Yana, how are you? We talked you into it, yes. We're just a bad influence. I love my Prismas. You can color in almost any book on them, with them, and they just work. Alright, I am going to have to go back up to my beautiful, lovely greens. And then I need to figure out these bats. What are we gonna do with the bats? I think we might need to bring in some lighter browns just to highlight them. Oh, fabulous, you've done this page. What was your color palette? I was hunting on Instagram and Pinterest for ideas this afternoon. So how I do this tree is the exact same way I'm going to do this tree. Oh, cool. That was browns. Nice. And also a night scene. Very cool. So back to my 70% French gray here. Okay, cool. Thanks, Kenny. I'm glad you do get the notifications. I find so often things change on social media or on YouTube. I don't always know how people receive information. I'm not very good at keeping up with all of the trends or the changes. Castle arts are an interesting one. I think they work great on specific paper, but they don't necessarily work great on all books and with all paper. So they are an interesting one. Okay, so now I'm going to take my dark umber, come over here, and then a bit more black. And then I think I'm going to use a 10% French grey just to bring in some highlights. Kind of something like that. Oh, that's cool, Liana, that the Castle Art Gold pastel tints harmonious work well in Joanna Basford's Magical Worlds. That's really cool. Okay, so I quite like that combo. I'm going to definitely keep the chocolate for the bigger bats. So I'm going to move on and work on these bats. Alright, dark umber. Bit of the chocolate, yay! Nice brown bats. Friends of ours actually ended up being given I think it was an injured bat, and I think they managed to contact a wildlife kind of like sanctuary or place where people actually know more about bats and how to help them. So I'll find out hopefully tomorrow when I see my friend if if the bat is still okay. But when I last saw them, they were giving the bat bits of water and just keeping it hydrated and alive. But I'm really glad that they were able to find a place they could then pass the bat to, into care and more professional care, if you know what I mean. pretty much the same thing. I follow the design, the pattern. Yes, they are important to the ecosystem. I think I watched a wildlife documentary about a couple of years ago, and they were talking about how important bats are to even like farmland, and how owls are even important because of the whole ecosystem and balancing. So I think a lot of bats, they, eat berries or small critters. So I think the ones that eat the berries or drink nectar, they help with pollination. And the ones that eat small critters, I think they just help with population control, really, or pest control. Oh, I'm glad you're still here. No worries if you get distracted. You can always watch the replay. I'm also amazed at how small bats are. And their whole, way of communicating with sonar and all of that. It's really fascinating. Okay, now if I come to this side, I have all these bits here, so I tend to black them out. Now here I need to be careful because if I do these small bats black, they're going to disappear. So I actually need to have them contrast. And then Sandbar brown. So this is the part of Kerby Rosanes books that I personally find easy. Once I figured out the tree trunks and the leaves, or even the bats, I just end up going over the same things. And it will take me probably a good 4 hours to finish up the sort of repetitiveness here. And yeah, I guess that's why I personally feel that even though it's a lot of detail, as a beginner you can actually color Kerby books and it's not too bad. But I could just be alone in my trail of thought. More of the same thing, just repeating patterns. And the problem is, Kenny, I still only end up coloring 4 pages a month. I work hard to color fast. And I have to actually switch my brain off a lot more and say to myself, don't overthink it, it's okay. You know, layer here, layer there, don't faff. Because it does take a long time. I think with Kerby Pages and Jasmine Beckett Griffith, I probably color those fastest, maybe. Oh wow, Penny, you're getting your you're getting your colors. I think if I took my time and layered more, yeah, it would take me a lot longer. Yeah, the sky, I don't know, there's something here. It blends weird, whereas over here on this bit it's fine. It's very odd. Very odd. I don't know if it's a paper thing or if something from the previous page, because I used Neocolor 2s here. So I don't know if it's affected the back. I don't know. Just know you're not alone if you're fighting with the sky. Yes, if you've got prismas work well for blending. Polys are great for layering. I actually think with polys you need to layer. It doesn't work the same as prismas. Although you can layer prismas too, and you will still get really beautiful results. So I find with prismas you can layer and you can blend or smush them together, but you can do both. With polys you tend to need to layer more and blend that way than with prismas. Jana, how are you feeling today? I hope you are recovering still and that it's going at a good progress. I think I've been using the wrong pencil. So I've been using a 70% grey instead of a Sandbar brown. Oh boy. Alright, it's fine, it's fine. Just layer in some Sandbar brown. Oh, I'm glad your recovery is on track. And I'm also glad you're off work to recover, although I can understand that that may not be ideal. I'm glad that you've got the time to just give yourself time to recover and recover well. And then Putty Beige to blend. If you really feel adventurous, you could even draw like a moon. I wasn't that adventurous.